And good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Chalk Talk. I am your host, Kim Davis. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Halloween Day. That's right. I haven't even thought about the fact that today is Halloween. I am joining you live from the totally renovated Black Walnut Café in Rice Village. Super excited to be here. If you've not been over yet, it looks great. You should stop by. And I have a special treat for you today. Nate the Great, that's what I call him. Nate from Fox 26 Morning Sports is joining me live today. He is going to be joining us in about 10 minutes or so. I'm letting him kind of handle some things. He's been okay, so he's kind of sort of been working today, so giving him a breather, but he will be here shortly, and I'm really excited to have him join us on Chalk Talk. Today, there's a lot to get to. Since we were together in this way last week, Dusty Baker has officially retired as the skipper of the Houston Astros. I am going to let you hear from Dusty. We're also going to let you hear from Ime Udoka as this young Houston Rockets team tries to get their first win of the regular season tomorrow night. And also DeMeco Ryans. The Texans took a tough one on the chin last weekend, losing to the winless Carolina Panthers in Carolina. They are now below 500, 3-4. Their next game is Sunday at NRG Stadium, taking on what I think may be facing their toughest wide receiver duo, with the Tampa Bay Bucks, at least today. So all of that is coming up. But first, got to tell you about some of the people that help us do this show each and every week. Remember, it's that time of year. It's chilly outside. If you happen to be in the South Texas and Houston area, for those of you other places, you may already have been chilly. And you want something, if you're having some sniffles, you want to shore up your immune system, don't forget about turmeric paste. And our favorite turmeric paste is, of course, I Love Jinka. If you're in Texas, you can get it at HEB. If not, you can get it on their website at ilovejinka.com. But if you're in Texas and you're going to HEB, this is where you find it.
Here at HEB in the Healthy Living Department of Probiotics, you can find Jinka 7 days a week.
Yeah. Look at a lot of Jinka sale. Look at that. Jinka.
I Love Jinka. You can't go wrong getting it. If you got some aches and pains, some joint pains, maybe your cholesterol is a little high. There's a lot of things it does. Turmeric is the main ingredient, but it's got all natural roots and herbs. You want that in your life. Okay, so it's the fall, and it may be too late for you to get Kimmy treats to give out for Halloween tonight, but you need to keep them, right? You need to have Kimmy treats around. The popcorn's awesome. If you're sitting around trying to do your Netflix and chill, the popcorn's vegan, but it's still very tasty. There's the Kimmy bars, one of Nate's favorite things, and there are all sorts of other things. So you can get them on the website at kimmytreats.com, and you can also get it at Sunshine's Vegetarian Deli if you're in Houston. So those of you who are out of town, go to the website, place your order. We do ship, but this is what you could expect to find, and this is what you should look for. All right, so I told you that Dusty Baker retired. I'm going to get Nate's thought about his retirement and just what he remembers about it. But I'm going to let you hear from Dusty. All right, this is Dusty talking about when he decided to retire.
Well, I started, this winter thinking about it, and then there were a couple instances, a couple articles, a couple of things that kind of made up my mind. Late summer, and but that didn't have anything to do with tarnishing my job or anything like that, because I wanted to win, the pennant and then leave. You know what I mean? And the same thing happened in San Francisco. I knew I was leaving in San Francisco, so I wanted to win, and go out the door. But sometimes your plan and life's plans are two different things. But I got to the door, but I didn't quite get through the door.
Adam and Matt.
So that was Dusty Baker. Nate, good morning. Well,
Good morning
it's
to you.
Good morning.
Yes,
Welcome
it
to
is.
Talk Talk.
Thank God it's still morning.
I
Thank
know,
you.
right?
Thank you for the invite.
Thank you for joining me. Now, listen, you were at the press conference last week.
Right.
What struck you most from what you heard from Dusty or really anybody in the room when he announced his retirement?
I was shocked, but something that was expected as well, because what he did was he basically told the Astros organization, must have been either that day or a little bit before, that he was going to make a move. And I think the thing that we saw after they lost the last game, what he said in the press conference.
Yeah.
First of all, I haven't spent a lot of time with my grandkids.
Yeah.
I want to spend more time with my grandkids. And I'm paraphrasing. And then he talked about the dogs.
They talked about the hunting dogs.
He talked about the dogs.
Yeah.
The dogs not really recognizing him when he came home. And, you always want your dogs to recognize you
Yes,
because,
you do.
dogs will bite you. So you have to be very careful when you get home. But, yeah, I think that was a true indication. Dusty was ready to retire. I hate to see him go.
I hate to see him go. When I think about just what he meant to, we know what he meant to the organization, right? 4 straight ALCS. And stepping in at a time that was really crucial. In fact, I'm going to let them hear from Jim Crane, who talked about Dusty.
Huge
And
thank you, Dusty, from not only the staff, the entire organization, all the players, all our fans, and really everybody in the building. You were a great example for everyone. We love you, and we'll miss you. And you came in and helped us when we needed some help. And you did a great job. And I think you were the only guy that could do that in the business. So I told you that the other day. Did a fantastic job. The record speaks for itself. He'll be missed, and I know the players will miss him. Always got a smile on his face. Always got something cool to say. He's a great guy and a great friend, and thank you very much for everything you did.
that was really cool, right? Because Jim's talking about how much he meant. And he said nobody else could have stepped in and done what you did. And we appreciate that. And something he said later, he said, you'll always have a place here. That's
Right.
I thought was really cool.
Well, that kind of gave us, I thought, some insight to what they may have been thinking and what we were wishing
Right.
that he would be with the organization in some capacity. I don't know. You and I were sitting on the front row, right next to each other.
Right.
In fact, we had in seats, so we wouldn't miss anything. And what I caught from that room that day is that everybody in that room loved Dusty.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you really? This is a man who has given himself to the city of Houston. He was so good in the media.
Yeah.
He could answer questions and diffuse any kind of issues that might have been coming.
Right.
I love the way he answered questions. Very honest.
Very honest.
Old school manager. It's going to be a while before we see that. We see that in Arlington
Yeah, with
as
Bruce
well.
Bochy,
Bruce Bochy.
right? Yeah.
You love your old school managers, but I don't know. Managers manage differently now. And so moving forward, we'll see what happens with the Astros. But Dusty, it's not going to be another one like him.
Not going to be another one like him. And, you've had people from different eras, if you will,
Yes.
in the room
And backgrounds.
and backgrounds who were like, hey, man, the way you treated us. And Gene, the VP of Communications
Yes,
for the
Gene
Astros, said
Diaz.
something that was really interesting. He said he thanked them for how he had always been with their staff and amenable to interviews. He said, we got more interviews for you, requests for you
Yep.
than any player on the team while you were here. And I was surprised at that. I mean, when you think about it, you go, oh, yeah, but that's how big
Let me
he
help
was,
you out.
not just
Let me-
here,
let me help you out a
but
little
around the country.
I put in 30
Right,
myself.
right,
So I don't know how many you put in,
right.
but I mean, just imagine all of us putting in
And then
requests for
people around the
interviews.
country. Right. I did some work with a friend who writes for one of the New York papers, and
Yes.
he asked me to help him get an interview with Dusty.
Right.
Because he was talking about, he did a story about what Dusty has meant for pitchers in his career. And it was an interesting story. And I was like, wow, because he's followed Dusty a long time. So people really liked him. He meant a lot to the organization. He is going to be missed. And for those who say he had thin skin about the media,
No, he didn't.
he did not.
No, he
And
didn't.
I was on a show the other night, and I said it wasn't thin skin. I think it was a matter of respect. And be clear, it's not like the media ran him out of town.
Right.
But I think, like you said, I started thinking about it last winter.
Right.
And then there were some articles this summer that made me go, you know what, maybe it's about time. Right?
I hate that, but I tell you what, everyone from every background, Francisco Romero, one of the play-by-play announcers for the Hispanic broadcast team,
Uh-huh.
he actually thanked Dusty during the press conference.
Right.
He was sitting across from us.
Yeah.
And he thanked them during the press conference. And Dusty has really done a phenomenal job. Learn how to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Could, talk with the Spanish players, could talk with the Spanish media.
Right.
It was just great what he did overall.
It was great what he did overall. He will be missed now. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Who's going to be the next Astros manager? I know there's a lot of talk about Joe Espada. His name always comes up. I don't think it's going to be Joe. I'm not going against him. I just don't think it's going to be Joe. I don't know who it's going to be. I've heard all sorts of names. AJ Hinch, which I don't think that would happen. To Brad Osmus, which is a name we hear a lot. And we know that Bagwell, who played with them, has a good relationship with Brad Osmus. You think it should be Joe Espada?
Well, okay. Let's put it this way.
Okay.
From what I understand, his relationships with the players are pretty good. I say pretty good.
Right.
I don't want to stretch it. I don't want to
Right.
shrink it. I think we have to be very, very careful in who we say will be the manager because we really don't know the insides.
Right.
And the other thing is that a lot of times we throw names out there. It's covered. So we have to kind of wait and see.
Yeah.
Brad Osmus, having played for the team, has a relationship with a lot of the older established players. Craig Biggio, Bagwell, obviously he'll know others. But I am just very curious to see in what direction they go. The good thing about this team is that they have the nucleus to at least to compete for an ALDS or ALCS.
Mhm.
The Rangers, again, will be very, very good. If you look at them right now, they're going to be very, very good. So whoever comes in and manages this team, they're going to have some managerial experience or understand how they need to manage this team. That's what's really going to be important.
And you know what? You make a great point because they have veterans, and they've got some veterans with some probably strong personalities. They've got some future Hall of Famers, and they've got some young players. And so you're going to have somebody who can manage both sides, both extremes. And so it's going to be interesting to see. Jim Crane has his work cut out. Jim Crane and Dana Brown,
He does.
and also Bagwell. I mean, people don't like it, but he obviously has input. And Bagwell knows baseball.
And you mentioned Dana Brown.
Yeah.
Dana Brown could be looking at the Atlanta Braves
It
organization.
could be.
There is a player who played for the Astros back in the day who is now part of that Braves organization.
Who is that, Nate?
Well, I don't want to say right now, but I know I'm putting some teasers out there, but just keep in mind, they're going to be looking at the Braves organization.
Right. I'm going to think about some of the other names I've heard. Ron Washington, who of course comes from the Braves. Eric Young is a name I've heard.
Hello?
I'm just saying it.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of the big future, and there's a lot of opportunities. I can't wait to see what happens.
Right.
Well, for Houston, baseball season's over, but there is a World Series underway. It's been some good games so far, and I know you picked the Rangers. I get it, but with Adolis Garcia going out last night, if he can't come back, he has been so phenomenal. I mean, we didn't like him if you like the Astros, but he's really good.
He's a great player.
He's had a heck of a postseason. And if he can't come back, and he lost the pitcher last night as well.
Right. Max Scherzer.
Who
Not
now
lost him. He has a strain.
has a strain. So they don't know how long he
Pitching
might be
shoulder,
out.
right.
But for a hitter to have some sort of a poor body issue, that could be a challenge for Garcia, and that could hurt.
They still have some guys in that lineup that were pretty good. Corey Seager
Yeah,
hit 2-run home run last night. Got Nathaniel Lowe,
he did.
RBI, and also scored a run.
Right.
These guys are really, really good at what they do. And they've got a rookie out there in center field who's pretty dang good.
Evan.
So yeah.
Evan Carter's been really good.
There you go.
Really
there you
good.
go. So I think
listen, I think the Diamondbacks too. We don't want to underestimate them. I mean, it's 3-1. Game 4 is tonight, and so we'll see what happens.
we will.
It's been a good series, and that's what I like.
We will.
I mean, I
We
would
will.
rather it be the Astros, but that's what I like.
Nathan, the Diamondbacks are 85 minus 85 win team and still in the World Series.
Still in the World
Yep.
Series, right? That's why you got to play the game.
That's right.
Got to play the game.
That's right.
So we're gonna put a bow on baseball for the moment and hop over to a sport I know you like, which is football.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. The Texans started out. I think even though they're under 500, they're 3-4. I think they've done better than people expected to this point. But what happens is you have a little momentum and people already start saying, well, man, postseason, and it's like, slow your roll. They're still young. You got a rookie quarterback who for the first time kind of looked like a rookie last week. But I'm not deterred because I still think he's the right guy. But they had some bumps in the road and they've got some stuff to work on. Your early thoughts as we are almost at midseason and on the day of the trade deadline for this Texans, early thoughts about what you've seen.
Need a run game. Still don't have a run game. You know, look, the run game helped to limit the passing game.
Yeah.
Thing is, you run the pass to run. If your run game is working, it takes a lot of pressure off the quarterback. C.J. Stroud threw for what? 120 yards. No, 140 yards, I'm sorry. You can't, in an NFL game on the road, you got to at least be able to throw for, I'm just going to say this, more than 140. Because it's possible that you can win for throwing 140 if your run game is better than adequate. But you got to have, you got balance, but you got a low balance. You got to balance on the low end, right? I think you had 120 yards rushing and 140 yards passing.
So, yeah. But here's the thing about the run game. It felt forced, right? It is like they were determined.
They're trying to force you.
We're going to run, but if it's not working, then where's your success? I think that is because you also have a play caller. So Bobby Slowick has had some really great games he's called, and then he's had some games that make you go, maybe it lacks innovation a bit. So they're all learning and growing. You know, I'm not ready to throw them out with bathwater.
Right.
You know, but I do think that while you're trying to make the run game work, when it's not, you got to go with what's working. And so that was a very winnable game against the Panthers. But so was the game in Atlanta. I mean, you know,
well,
that's why you got to play the game.
The Panthers used a 15-play, 6-minute, and 27-second drive.
Yes.
And the Texans couldn't get a stop. But they used that drive at the end of the game to suck all the time off the clock and to put themselves in position to kick the winning field goal. So your defense, while they played well in the first three quarters, first 3.5 quarters, that last 6:27, where you can stop them on third, that you got to get off the field.
I mean, on one hand, if your defense gives up 15 points, that should be enough to win. Right? You got to score some points as an offense, right?
Amen.
But you got to get off the field. That's the same way they lost in Atlanta. They got another walk-off score. I mean, you know, you don't really see walk-offs in the NFL, but it was a walk-off. It was a walk-off field goal.
Yeah. That's not what you want to see. And the other thing is, you got to be able to stretch the field. I know there were some things that the Texans did well, and I know they want to throw the ball, and everyone wants to say, remember, they lost their center as well.
Right.
They lost their center.
They lost James Patterson after
Right.
losing Scruggs early.
Exactly. So that changes things up. Now you have a patchwork offensive line, but they move that pocket. If you watch they move the pocket all the time. And C.J. Stroud is, I won't say he's great throwing on the run. No, but once he's pushed out of that pocket, he is still pretty good. He can find his receivers downfield. Aaron Schultz is going to have to be, and I thought in the last game he was utilized pretty well in the offense.
Yeah.
Got to use him a little bit more, especially in intermediate routes or short pass patterns, 15 to 20 yards in, you can throw to him a lot. And I think, you know, you got Tank, you got Nico, but you have other guys also in that offense that you can go through. I think your short intermediate pass game is where you're going to find your money.
Which is really what the tight ends are typically good for. And in terms of explosive plays, anything downfield, you can see a lot of that. You've got to find a way to get.
You got to lull them to sleep. You lull them to sleep until you can hit that.
You got to get Tank some action, and also Nico. You mentioned linemen. Here's the thing that I don't like with their doing. Nobody asked me, but I don't like it.
You tell them, it's your podcast.
So what I don't like is the fact that they have Titus Howard at left guard. That is not his best position. He looks uncomfortable. He needs to be at right tackle.
That's exactly right.
Right, because the guard spot, he kind of like, okay, I'm back here. Yeah. I mean, he looks out of place, and we know he can play. So I get our best 5 linemen on the field, but if he's not going to, you're not getting the same Titus Howard at left guard as you do at right tackle. So I hope that they change that. I understand when coaches get to we got to put our best on the field, but is it your best?
Well, their mindset is our offensive linemen should be interchangeable parts along the offensive line. You see that a lot in college, okay? Not necessarily in the pros. However, you still have to have interchangeable pieces along the offensive line. Now, you can't leave them there.
Right.
You know, I say this, and I'm not a coach, but just having covered this game for 34, having played it for a long time, I've seen that coaches tend to leave their offensive line in the spot where they best suit the team. And sometimes being interchangeable doesn't really work to your advantage.
So I don't think that Titus Howard at that guard spot.
But if you don't
that
have
kills the
enough, you
team.
got to do something.
Yeah, well, you can move one of the other guys over who will be as bad as he's playing, because it's almost not even better Titus. Because he looks like not the guy we know. Titus can play. He's playing out of position, and that's not good. So John says healthy lineman. Tony says the Texans will beat Baker Mayfield. Their next opponent is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You never know which Baker you're going to get, but here's the thing: they're going to face, I think, Mike Evans. That's the most explosive offensive receiver duo they faced yet.
Right. Yeah. If Evans is no NFL player is 100% healthy, but if Evans is at least 90 to 95% healthy, and obviously I watch Mike more than anybody. Mike's on my fantasy league football team. So I play him every week. Yeah, I definitely. But I want the Texans to win. But I love to see Mike score a lot of points. But the bottom line is, Mike Evans presents a problem. I can hear you.
Yeah.
But again, Texas pass rush. They know they have to do a better job with the pass rush because we saw what happened against Carolina and a rookie quarterback, Bryce Allen, last week, right? Bryce Young. I'm sorry, not Bryce Allen. Bryce Young. And some other things have to happen for them defensively that did not happen for them against Carolina. I think the Carolina film will be a great film in getting ready for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, and this team, like one of the things that DeMeco has said, and everybody who actually has worked with CJ, he doesn't make the same mistake twice.
Right.
And so we've seen that when the offense has kind of sputtered in one game, they kind of regroup. And I'm going to say that on the play calling because we've seen that the NBC slow it come back and don't get lulled into that playing not to lose. Right? That is not. I feel like I've seen.
Do you think that's what it was?
I don't know. It looked like it a little bit, but no one's going to say it. That's just, and I always will tell you.
Say what you see. I mean, say what
I
you
see.
Yeah.
But I'm not, I defer to the experts, DeMeco and Bobby Sloan. That's what it felt like watching.
Your eyes usually don't lie.
Okay.
Your eyes tell you the truth.
Okay.
I mean, against Pittsburgh, what did the Texans do?
They threw the ball. They were aggressive.
Oh my God! They found Nico deep.
Right.
They found him short. They found him intermediate. That's what they do. That's what CJ can. CJ is so accurate.
Yeah.
I would love to play in that offense with him. If I'm Tank Dell, I'm looking at a whole lot of passes and shit, a whole lot of catches and shit. 65, 70 minimum. I mean, for a rookie, right?
Right.
I'm looking at that minimum now. I'm not sure the number he has now. I'll go back and look at that a little bit later. But 70 for a rookie
is a lot.
With that quarterback?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So John says Tampa has a solid defense too. Texans sacks Young 6 times. Pass rush was fine. They got the sacks, but when it mattered, they couldn't get off the field.
Well, DeMeco talked about the pass rush.
He talked about the pass
in the press conference
yeah.
and said what they needed to do differently in the pass rush. And I'm like you, that's when I defer to the experts. If they say their pass rush was just okay,
yeah.
even though they got 6 sacks, oftentimes that's the quarterback's fault.
Right. Holding on to the
ball
too
long.
Yeah.
You're not really aware of where your offensive linemen are. Sometimes you have it in your mind to defer to what you do better when you're a rookie. Even though you know you're a rookie, I'm going to do what's going to keep me up for the next play.
Right.
So a lot of that is being in the wrong position, wrong time. And sometimes just not being aware of where the defense is. So as far as that's concerned, I defer to the head coach, DeMeco.
Right.
And also, I pretty much tell you what I see.
So Kevin says Tank is a gimmick, not a go-to in the NFL. Chill just a bit, make it Tank an option 1 on defense. Stop handing him the ball out of the backfield. Yeah.
Now,
I agree with you on that.
Totally.
I mean,
totally. We used to call that a flanker reverse.
Yeah, but
back in the day.
Guy. Yeah.
No, I totally agree with that.
I agree with you.
I understand what they want to do. They want to get him. They want to get him to the edge and then allow him to use his God-given abilities.
I'd rather you see him have him stretch the field in some sort of a goal line
Well,
or something.
well,
I don't want to see him
On a play
out
like
of the
that,
backfield.
they're trying to get 6 or more, if not 6 points. Well,
Right.
6 yards or more, if not 6 points. But I think the edge rushers today are so much faster. You have edge rushers that are running 4.4s, 4.5s, 4.6s, and they can cover a whole lot better than they did back in the day. They had really great edge rushers. They were running sub 4.6s.
Yeah, but the guys they're built different now.
They're built different.
They're built different to be
Yeah,
faster.
built for speed.
They're
Built for speed.
John makes a good point. He said Tank's on his fantasy. He needs to use him in space. Using him on an end around for your undersized wide receiver coming off the
Don't
concussion.
get him hurt.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
He's a little light. He's a little light.
Yeah.
And so I don't think you want your 100.
I could say it. He's a little light in the pants. But Lovedale, Lovedale, intermediate routes. If you can play him along the boundary, if you can send him on fly routes, as we call them, go routes.
Go routes, yeah.
You can't always do that because then your defense starts keying on what you do, in the long game. You have to be able to stretch the field, but you also have to be able to use the intermediate part of the field. And that's the middle of the field, 15 yards and in.
Yeah.
Man, there's so much open territory. A lot. And oftentimes we don't see it. I mean, they don't see it.
Right.
We see it, but we also understand they see it differently than we do. But I'm just telling you, that area of the field, that middle end, it's always good, man. It's always good.
Tony says that DeMeco in the game play calling is not good. Is it play calling? Is it execution? I don't really like some of the stuff.
It may be a little bit of both.
It's a little bit of both.
Because
right.
He's a young quarterback. He's a young head coach. He's got to learn how to finish. The Texans have to learn. He said it many times. Texans have to learn how to finish. They are a young team. They have to learn how to finish. Also, a young quarterback has to learn how to do what? Finish. See, a veteran quarterback, and this is an extreme observation or extreme example. Let's say you had a Tom Brady with a DeMeco Ryans. And my point is, Tom Brady can help coach him to help him learn how to finish games by making suggestions. Coach, why don't we do this? It'll work because if you do this in practice, if you do this in film study, if you do this in meetings,
so I think on the offense,
can make it go.
But I expect him to be able to handle it on defense because he did that as a coordinator, made the calls. But I mean, I know he's having to be responsible for all of it now. But him calling the defense, I expect that's something he can.
He can handle that, but that 2-minute offense with only 2 minutes. That last 2 minutes of the game, when there's only a 3-point difference, a 2-point difference, or a 6-point difference, or you need to tie the game to go in overtime.
Yeah,
that's when you have to understand who you are and where you are on the field, especially when your team is on the field, but who you are as a coach and your coaching staff. Coach staff's young. How many older guys on that coaching staff now?
Well, they're young. I mean, you got an offensive coordinator who's calling plays for the first time. You got Matt Burke, who's a defensive coordinator, but DeMeco's calling plays.
The point is, they got we get it, right? We're on the same. We feel the same way. Got to learn how to win. Got to learn how to finish games. He said it a million times. I feel the same way.
Tony, Chris Dishman was at the Titan homecoming because it was also the Oilers.
Right.
And so he didn't play. I don't think he played in Tennessee, but it was really Oilers. There were a lot of Oilers there. Richard Johnson was there. Warren was there. So he didn't play in Tennessee.
Yeah,
but it was really about the Oilers and then the initial Titans. That's why he was there. Kevin says, I'm disappointed in our front seven. It's D-line and linebackers has been suspect. You're right. The front seven has been. I mean, that's where you have to get away from the stat sheet. You go, well, they had 6 sacks, but especially the linebacker play has been really questionable. And then you've got a rookie that's wearing the green dot, right? So your Mike is, because Perryman, who we know can play, we also know has injury issues. And so that has been a challenge. John says Andrew Beck is not Kyle.
Come on, man. Easy on Andrew Beck now, okay? Easy on Andrew Beck.
Right.
Hey, you and I have been around long enough to remember Mike Hollaback, the former general manager. What would Mike Hollaback say in today's, let's use the analytics world? He was, I'm going to see if I can do a Mike Hollaback.
Let me see if this is it.
Let me see if I can do it. Kim, remember this one thing. Let your eyes tell you
What you see.
what you see,
Yeah,
and what to do.
he would. He would. Okay.
That's exactly what he was saying.
The depth of this team is why they don't hold up late in games, tired legs. Good point. And so today is trade deadline. I haven't heard anything. We know that Nick Casario is a busybody, and there's a very good chance that he makes a move. I don't know what he does. Would you like to see them do anything? And if so, what would you like to see them do?
Two things: maybe get another receiver, and I don't know if you could, maybe another receiver, and maybe another offensive line. Now, what do you trade to do that? I don't know, because I'm not a GM. I don't know what kind of, when you start talking about the value of the team and the values on the team, now we're talking about a lot of stuff. But the one thing I think may happen, and I'm curious to see if the Minnesota Vikings are going to make a call to the Houston Texans for Case Keenum. Because he knows that offense.
He does know the offense. I guess it depends. We talked about this on what it is the Texans would ask for, and how far does Minnesota think they can go this year, right? How good are they, and is it worth it for them to give up a lot? I imagine if they come calling for Case, the Texans are going to try to extract something pretty valuable in return.
I would think.
So I don't know. We'll see. We have until 4 o'clock. Or something Eastern.
It's 4 o'clock Eastern time, 3 o'clock Central.
So we will see. Here's DeMeco talking about the offense. He was asked about any changes that he's noticed or they've made in the first part of the season. And here's what he said yesterday.
Just playing different defenses and how they've attacked us over the past 3 weeks. I think that's been a change. First few weeks, people were really not having enough film and seeing what we do schematically. I think that allowed us to create some big explosive plays. But now as you start to gain tendencies throughout the season, right, teams kind of hone in on your playmakers, hone in on what you do well, and they force you, as you say, to play left-handed when it comes to that. So, we have to continue to do a good job of keep pressing. We got a lot of playmakers on our offense, right, and they made big plays for us throughout the year. Expect those guys to still find a way to make plays.
Still talking about, he said some people haven't really seen him yet, so they've got to still find some ways to make some plays. Not pressing, but they've got to do some things, and they've got to work on getting off the field. Like there's 6 points allowed, but you still have got to get off the field when it counts. And I think that Kevin made a great point. You're holding and you're playing tough early, but the lack of depth makes you tired late. So while you only give up 15 points, you can't get off the field when you need to keep the team from scoring a walk-off. Because that's what happens the last 2 losses against the Panthers and against the Falcons.
Yeah, you wear your defense down. And I would tell you, again, you have to be very diverse. I know you want to be balanced. I know you want to run the football. But the type running game you have right now, you have to ask, are those backs suited for that type of game? Now, Dameon Pierce, you might want to think about throwing the ball to him a little bit more. That might help a little.
This offense is new. The blocking scheme's new. And he's talked about how it's like him starting over as a rookie, right? So we are just about out of time. But before we go, we got.
Oh, no way.
I've
enjoyed this.
Well, we got some more work to do. So before we go, I want to let the people hear from Ime Udoka. The Houston Rockets are this young team. It's 0-3 to start the season. I didn't expect them to beat Golden State because Golden State has this little guy named, what's his name? Steph Curry.
That's it.
Who just won. That game was exciting. They hustled. Jay Sharkey did all he could defensively. I mean, they did a lot of good stuff. But
there was a move towards the fourth quarter into the game.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did see.
Okay.
Steph Curry was Steph Curry. He just was. But, Ime talked about Golden State, the loss, and, they're trying to get their first win. They're back at it tomorrow night against the Hornets. But here is new head coach, no nonsense, Ime Udoka.
I think we were doing well on defense to turn our defense into offense, and that's what helped us get back into it, force some turnovers, got out in transition, and it's a balance there where you take that lead and you really want to buckle in and kind of bite down and take the right plays. I think a few guys took some forced shots in transition, that did get us back in the game, but understanding when you have the advantage there, and then we got some offensive rebounds, and I think 2 or 3 kick out threes that didn't go down for us. So you like those shots initially, but you technically go with the had. I think that got us back in the game, but also we could have a little more patience and try to hunt the right shot, especially in transitions and one-on-twos.
Ime Udoka. I mean, I'm optimistic, but they 0-3. I think the game in San Antonio, that game 2 is a game they should have won. The game in Orlando, when they came back, they got into within 1 point and lost by 30. That's a game they could have won. I didn't expect them to beat Golden State. They have a shot tomorrow. Hopefully they get their first win. They can get that monkey off their back. Your boy James Harden moved again. I'm just saying.
Well, he's going back home. I had a chance to speak with his high school coach this morning, Scott Parra, who's now the right set basketball coach, and he knows James very well. And the thing that he said that resonated with me, obviously, he's going back home. He wasn't happy in Philly, but he really wanted to get back home. He really wanted to get back home. Now, we don't always agree with the method of the madness, and I guess that's why they call it madness, but he's finally going back.
So he hasn't everything he's wanted to do in the past 3 or 4 years.
Well,
he's gotten, and then he wasn't happy. And those of us who covered him since he first got here, he gets unhappy really quickly when things don't go his way.
He's certainly severed the ties with a friend,
right? In Russell Westbrook.
And
now they reached
not only that general manager in Philly.
Oh, Daryl Morey.
Daryl Morey, because
he couldn't have his way. And here's the thing: I don't know. It didn't move the needle for me, right? Because if Kawhi is healthy, which is the key, it doesn't matter. If Kawhi is not, which has been the case more times than not, then he could be important. But when it comes to postseason, which is what it's really all about for the Clippers, we know who James Harden is, and he don't show up when it matters. I'm just saying, we almost out of time.
It's been fun.
It's been fun. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
You got to. I'll follow you around, and you got to come back again.
Yeah, so it's great to be on your show. I just want to make sure the folks. She was on Fox 26 this morning. She's on Fox 26 for me but a lot of mornings. So I'm hoping you guys will watch.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great week. Remember, do something kind for yourself and do something kind for somebody else. It is election season. Make sure you vote. I never tell you who to vote for. Vote your values, but make sure you vote. Have a great week. Peace.